All right, guys. Sorry for the late start. I was having technical difficulties with my computer, so it is now playing music. And I am recording off of my phone. So, all right, so we're going to do just a quick stretch tonight. I had my Monday evening class request one. I was going to do it on Friday, but I actually got a gig teaching here in Florida on Friday. So here we are. Nice Wednesday night, just a little stretch, and this will save on Facebook, so anytime you want to come back to it. I'm going to do full body, but if you do have any requests, those of you who are popping on live, let me know, and I'm happy to do that. So it'll take about 15-20 minutes. So we're just going to start getting the body warm a little bit, a little moving. So of course, stretching is always best at the end of a physical activity because your muscles are at their most warm and released and ready to go. So we'll just do a little tiny warm up. Okay, let's just make sure no one is saying anything and go from there. So we're just going to take our legs into parallel, about a fist width distance apart, standing up nice and long and strong. Dropping the shoulders from ears, bringing the ribs together, lengthening the low back and opening the hips. Weight in between the first and second toe, equally between the big toe and the little toe. Inhale, and as we exhale, we're going to drop the chin to chest. And we're going to roll slowly down through the body, keeping the legs rotating to parallel so inner thighs are working. Big toes on the floor. Weight is off the heels here, so you aren't going to hyperextend the knees. They should be lengthened, but not locked into place. Take a big inhale. With an exhale, we're going to soften our knees. Roll slowly up through our body. Fold the shoulders down. Inhale up, and again, exhale. Pull off the belly, roll one vertebrae at a time, slowly down through the body. Relaxing the jaw, relaxing the facial muscles. On your next exhale, you can choose to soften your knees again, or you can just scoop the air out. Roll slowly up. Inhale, keep the ribs down. Arms come overhead. Take a little reach, lengthening the spine. Gentle come right here. With an exhale, I'm going to take one arm down to the side. And I'm going to gently stretch over towards that side. So this arm is reaching towards the floor. The other is reaching to the ceiling. Keep those shoulders down. Lengthening through the neck. Inhaling up. Breathe the inner thighs together. Exhale to the other side. Softening the jaw. And again, inhale. So you go a little farther this time as you exhale. So the hope is to feel the stretch from the armpit to the hip. Breathing up. Another side. Shoulder circle and plie, bending hips, ankles, knees as you breathe out. And then reverse. Nice, and let the head just little half circles from one ear on your shoulder to the other. Lifting through the abs. We're going to widen the legs a little bit. Coming to a parallel second. Let's take an inhale up. Reach that sternum, gentle cambre. We're going to soften our knees out over the second and third toe. Exhale, fold forward, hang down here. Knees are soft, so you should feel that your ribs are contacting your thighs, hopefully. 2 deep breaths. Let all the weight hang down, lengthen the back. And then as you exhale on the third time, extend through the back of the knees. So again, we're not looking to lock the legs into place, but just lengthen and extend. If you keep the weight on the balls of the feet, I personally feel the stretch in my calves as well as my hamstrings. Of course, every body is different. So you may or you may not. We're going to try and roll those shoulders down. It can also be really nice to let the arms be soft instead of bracing on the floor. Get a little deeper stretch here. We're going to bend one leg, shift the body over to that side, and then the other. Little swooshes. We're going to roll up through our body in that way. My spine gets really tight, so I really have to release it. Inhaling up. Again, you can welcome to open that sternum to the ceiling, little cambre, lifting through the core, or you can just go straight up. Exhale, keep your arms in front of you as you dive down, lengthen through the low back here. So these muscles are really extending, really trying to release the hip sockets so that you have the connection of your lower torso to your legs. Keep breathing. If you'd like, you can take your hands through behind the legs here, or if you want to wrap them around, whatever feels good to you. Again, I like to wiggle a lot. Get my back lengthening. Let's go over to one side. So you want to keep the heel of this leg really extended, so you might get a little stretch into that lower back. 2 deep breaths. And over to the other side. And we're going to go into the center, soften the knees, gently roll up. Good, let's go into some lunges. These are great for the backs of the legs. One thing we're always looking for in our life, but in lunges as well, is this nice flatness of the hips. We don't want, as we're lunging, a great spiral to happen, or for one hip or the other to be higher. Now that's not 100% true. It's going to be back and forth. If you were Barbie, that's what would be happening. But in reality, your pelvis is going to shift a little. We're just looking at minimizing the amount of that. So we're going to take one leg in front of you, the other leg behind you, just a nice width. 3 or 4 fists could fit in there. We're going to parallel those hip bones to each other. We're going to soften the knees just a little extra for this one. We're going to inhale up, take a little reach if you'd like, and exhale, fold forward. So now, for those of you super stiff today or just without a lot of flexibility, you can take your hands on your thighs or walk them down to your shins. If you have the flexibility, floor, legs, foot, whatever's great. Breathe in. And exhale out. Let your body soften to the leg. In, and as you exhale, see, without, again, hyperextending or locking, see if you can extend through the knees just a little bit more. And then again, I want to try and find my hips as square as possible. Oh, that's really tight tonight. Oh, man. Keep breathing. If you'd like, you can also play with flex and release of the foot. Again, your arms can be up, just never ever pressing on the kneecap. That would force your hyperextension. Then as you're ready, we're going to slide that leg back, okay? Because I'm having to be in the video. I don't want to disappear off my beach towel. I'm just adjusting my body for that. So the same idea, I want to have as square hips as possible. At this point in time, things are out of alignment, but the goal is to always be working to getting there instead of allowing that twist of the pelvis to be working against it, and that's actually going to deepen your stretch. So we're going to breathe in and out. And then in. And out. We're going to release the knee down, taking this front knee out over the ankle. You don't want to be resting on the kneecap. You want to be resting in front of the kneecap. So we're always having that press of the pelvis forward.
And then we can switch it up a little bit. If you extend this front leg and you bring your nose down to me, you're gonna get that hamstring stretching back there. You can also work flexing and pointing. I'm going to go back. If you want to keep in your hamstring a little longer, you're welcome to. Just going to shift back and forth, a few deep breaths in each squat. Or if you have something that feels really lovely, you're welcome to stay there. And I'm going to go back into the hamstring. I'm going to come back to this low lunge. Tonight, I'm feeling like dropping down to my elbows. An alternative to that, if it doesn't feel great, is to spiral towards your extended leg. For me, this gets the outside of those hip flexors. Tonight, that feels great. All right, we're going to bring ourselves back up all the way to that straight leg lunge. Let's step our feet together, soften the knees and everything, roll up slowly through the spine. All right, we're going to switch to our other side. You can obviously just turn around. I'm just trying to get it so I'm visible. So we're going to take the opposite leg front here, feeling those inner thighs squeeze. Keeping the hips in alignment, inhale up. Soften the knees a little extra for this one as we exhale forward. I just feel like people are a little more likely to go a little too far the first time. Hyperextend those knees. Also, you can check your parallel. I was very much rotated out. Couple deep breaths here, letting the body sink down. Make sure that you're not holding tension in your chin, but releasing it. And then as you're ready, breathe out, extend. Don't lock the legs. You can keep them bent a little more if that's more comfortable for you, not a big deal. Weight is still on the balls of the feet, shoulders are still pulling from ears. Feel free to play with the flex and point. Remember, you can also have your hands on your leg, just don't push on the kneecap. Always very aware of our kneecap and one floating bone we have in our body. Okay, there's maybe technically one in your thumb, but really, not an important one. Yes, okay. We're gonna go to that high lunge tonight. A little better square. Finding the pelvis. Opening the hips. Make sure your front knee is over the ankle and this foot is flat on the ground. Breathing. And you can release the knee down. Pressing this back hip forward. Deep inhales and exhales. Feel those fill the lungs. Tensing is not helpful when it comes to stretching. We're going to exhale, extend back. Lengthening through that hamstring here. Again, you still want to try and have that pelvis reasonably flat and straight. And I'm going to go right back. If you want to stay in that hamstring stretch, you're welcome to. into the hamstring. This time, as I go into this little lunge, I'm going to go down into my elbows, but remember you can also spiral if that's going to feel better for you tonight. I still want to keep my knee over my ankle. Try not to turn it out too much right now. Let this happen in parallel. Alright, we're going to come on back. Bring it up. Step the legs together. Oh, release those hips. And roll up. Oh, yeah. Definitely got into my hip a little bit there. Well, let's do, I want to do a really deep hip flexor stretch, and then we'll get down on the floor. So there's a couple ways to get at this one. My favorite way is with the yoga block. If I'm laying down, so imagine this is the floor, I'm gonna put it under my tail, much like you would if you were gonna go into a waterfall. And then you hug one knee up to the other leg is down. It's gonna give you a big stretch. Depending on what you have in your house, another option is like a bench, right? If you've got a piano bench hanging around, something out on your front porch, I don't know. Also, you know, a bed will work, but a harder surface is better. So I scooch my rear end to the very edge. Same thing, I'm gonna drop one leg down and I'm gonna float one leg in. If you don't have either a yoga block or a bench, you know, a giant old school dictionary would work too. So you're just gonna really breathe. This top knee folded into your body and the other leg is just hanging down. And that's where this stretch is coming in. And you can shuffle around. If it feels like you're not getting much, you might, oh yeah, you do a little more towards the edge of the bench. Your choice, you can do some ankle circles. This one has been a hip saver for me. I don't know, I feel like I don't have any turnout or anything. I can do the stretch and I'm a whole new person. Other side, so folding this one knee in, allowing the other leg to release down long. Got a potted plant on this side, or pretend potted plant in my way. The more you can squeeze the top knee into your chest, and the deeper the stretch will be too. And you can circle both directions if you like. Keep breathing. I will be honest and say I like doing this one on the yoga block more. I think because my bottom leg feels a little more supported and I feel like the stretch is deeper, which seems like, I don't know, I guess counterintuitive because being on the bench, you know, your legs can go all the way down to the floor. Just my personal opinion. Okay, so if you have a nice solid pillow hanging around, I have my travel yoga bolster because I'm that person who doesn't go anywhere without all my toys. That's great. You know, if not, you can do this without. But I've really gotten into having some support as I stretch, just to help me release. So I'm gonna go into my butterfly here, and I'm gonna take that yoga bolster or your pillow, fold a blanket up, whatever you can find, and we're gonna inhale up, allowing everything to drop down, especially the knees, and we're gonna exhale forward. So, you know, if you've got a blanket or something, you can fold it up really high. This is your flexibility amount. Those of you with yoga blocks can also put them under, and you can release them. It can also be nice sometimes to have support underneath the hips as well if you've got yoga blocks and things like that. I'm just gonna take some deep breaths here. Let the body release. There's something that I think allows a little more relaxation when we're like hovering and fighting to get down to the floor. We have something. I like to sometimes take, a blanket or something here on the bolster, and then I get pretty relaxed, and then I can take that off and a little deeper, and then a little deeper, and then maybe eventually you don't even need the bolster, as you get into your stretch. 2 more deep breaths. If you want to walk your fingers out, you can. We're going to walk it up. Take one hand down by your knee, not behind you, but by your knee. Exhale the other arm, reach it over. The object is to try and flatten this arm on the ground, but just get as far as you can. Opposite hip is dropping down, so I'm not allowing my butt to release off. So there should be a nice stretch from hip to armpit. Inhaling up, exhaling, make sure your hands by your knees to the other side. Once more, really ground those 6 bones, exhale over. Releasing the jaw. Another side. And back to the center. This time, you have an option. I kind of put my legs and kind of my in between. You can fold them super in. This is honestly my least favorite, or take them way out. It's a lot harder for me. It just stretches in all these weird places. So we're gonna inhale up and exhale forward. Oh, it's so uncomfortable. Here too, you might feel a stretch in your back. That's lovely. You can walk to one side or the other, and that'll pull on the opposite side of the spine. One of my favorite things, I have scoliosis. I'm always trying to get my back to release. Other side. And you go back to the center. This one's so uncomfortable for me. I just have to move up everywhere. Alright, let's roll it up. Yeah, I'd much rather be tucked in here than out there. I think that's the one of those things with being a dancer. Alright, so let's do just a few last little things. Just remember your legs are comfortable. I'm just going to a gentle straddle right now. No pushing or anything. I just want you guys to see my arms. I'm going to take one arm across. We're going to hook behind the elbow. Pull it towards us as you breathe. Try and release any tension you have in your hip sockets and your legs. The jaw be soft. And you can take this up to your chin, and that will change the stretch towards the triceps underneath. Or, and you gotta kind of go around, there's a little spot where one of your, ligaments needs to kind of root over an insertion point, so just be careful with that, but you can kind of go down lower too. Oh, that feels great. So you can play with the height that does it for you today. Some days straight across is great, some days a little up, some days a little down. We'll go to the other side, hooking behind the elbow again. Lengthen through that spine. And you can take it up
So you could fold your legs back in here or just crisscross them gently, whatever's comfortable with you. One hand to the opposite knee. Same hand as the knee behind the tailbone. Big inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, look over the back shoulder. As far as you can go. Inhale to the center, switch. Hand on the knee if you want to switch the legs on top too, okay? And around, and breathe as you spiral. Softening the jaw. Back to the center. Excellent. And we're going to stand up. And I just want to do one last little thing because I forgot it earlier. Let's do a little calf stretch. So just stepping one leg back, finding that square hip. Same thing with the arms. You can take it around behind. Breathe. Keep your ribs dropping down to your pelvis and let them over arch. And switch your legs. And step it together. All right. If there's anything else you need, you can take this time for your body. Otherwise, I hope that got most of your major muscle groups. And you're feeling better tonight. Thank you everyone for joining me. We really appreciate it. Have a lovely rest of your evening.